What's up, guys? My name is MadSquash924. Welcome back to another episode of Night Call, where we are trying to learn more clues about the judge. And if you guys haven't seen this before, this is a visual novel-esque kind of game where we are learning more about the customers, making money, and figuring out more things about this serial killer. So feel free to turn up your earbuds, your blinds should be closed, all the good stuff. And let's get on to our next customer, who we are deciding is going to be this dude. It's a shelter for homeless people. When it gets too cold out, you bring Hervé here. This guy's name is Sonny Talpa. You double park and wait for your next passenger to slide into the back seat. He looks at you like he appreciates you and your taxi. He gives you his address. You start driving. A few words are exchanged: the weather, taxes, traffic. Then you can tell it's coming. The inevitable conversation about the killer. Some bits of information, rumors, things overheard. You make a mental note of what you've heard. Who knows? It might come in handy. Your passenger doesn't make a sound for the next few minutes of the trip. It doesn't bother you. You have enough on your mind. Your investigation, the judge, Bassett. You're overcome with a craving to smoke. You nod slowly and glance at your passenger. Calm and still. He seems far away. Having a good evening? Yes, very good. He slowly turns his head towards you and gives you an odd look, like he is disappointed you're talking to him. He watches you closely for another minute and turns back out to look the window. You keep your eyes on the road. The silence becomes heavy. All of a sudden, you feel a strange sense of camaraderie with your passenger. You look at him quickly in the rearview mirror. He doesn't look familiar at all, and yet it's like you know him. A second later, an outside light shines on his face at a weird angle. It looks like he's smiling. A few seconds later, you drive down his street. He straightens up a bit. You park in front of the number he gave you. He pays his fare without a word. The door opens slowly, and he smiles at you. You can tell it comes from the bottom of his heart, despite how uptight he is. You're a really swell guy. You weren't expecting that. By the time you collect your thoughts, your passenger is already far away. He disappears into a building. A moment goes by before you turn the key in the ignition. Well, it was easy money for that one. And it wasn't a long drive at all. Let's see, any suspects? Because we need suspects. Unfortunately, yes. We have one suspect, and actually we probably should go and do his right away. Even though it's far away, we should still do it. Out of nowhere, you hear a voice whispering in your ear. This is where I died. You brake hard. There is no noise in the cab. No noise outside. A silhouette appears on the back seat of the cab. Its features appear one by one, as if drawn with a paintbrush. So much suffering. You squint. A little boy. Would you be so kind as to drive me? Where? Very well. Let us drive then. The boy's silhouette flutters for a moment, then disappears entirely. You hold your breath. On the back seat behind you, the boy slowly reappears. You start driving.
Rue de Rosiers, please.
You stare at the rearview mirror. What for?
We're going to the Rue de Rosiers to eat falafel.
The delicious smell tickles your nose. The little ghost heaves a short sigh. He seems happy. Your stomach starts to growl. You're hungry. Strange, usually you never fall victim to the night munchies. Your colleagues often gain weight when they work the night shift. Nothing to do but snack. Tonight, however, you are famished.
We're going to Rue de Rosiers to eat the best falafel in Paris. I love walking around there, drinking in the smells, hearing the hiss of fried food, seeing juices and sauces dripping off the sandwiches.
He's almost giddy.
Oculars who twist every which way to catch a piece of tomato about to fall.
His silhouette blurs.
I wish I could taste it all.
The rear window lowers all by itself. A gust of icy cold wind fills the cab. You close the window as quickly as possible. Behind you, the little ghost's voice starts to break up. Scatter.
I can just imagine. But it's not the same. It's just not like the real thing. No, not at all. The same.
He seems far off, about to disappear. Everything all right? He does not answer your question. It becomes vague and hesitant.
They're screaming, shouting, throwing themselves to the ground. A bomb goes off. Another. Same.
He catches his breath, looks outside, points at something in the distance.
There. Rue de Rosiers. Paris stopped here. The city wall on which so many children played. Hide and seek no longer exists. I never even climbed up there. Now the stones are hidden in other buildings. And no one will ever find them again. Such is the life of a city.
He grows silent for a moment. A nauseating smell takes over the cab. It takes you a few seconds to recognize it. Gunpowder.
Rue des Rosiers, Bitter Street. How many people thought they were at home there before leaving to grow old elsewhere? There was a terrorist attack. Right here. 6 dead. Right in the middle of lunch. Plates were being passed, bottles being poured, forks falling on the floor.
The children in the back blurs, becomes distant.
I can imagine the last sentences they pronounced. Their last words. No, no, don't worry about it. Yes. I could give you something else instead. 2 coffees.
When he starts to speak again, his voice has a broken quality. As if there were a far-off, threatening figure walking towards the car.
I like to drink coffee. I didn't even know it existed before. When I was still alive, breathing, walking.
His figure flutters.
What about you? Do you like coffee?
You can tell this is not just a simple question. The child smiles at you.
Tell me about coffee. Its taste, its texture, its warmth. Tell me everything.
Coffee is a drug, a hard one. It screws with your stomach. Reminds you you've really just a machine inside tubes, pockets, and filters. It burns your throat and stomach.
Why do you drink it then?
I don't know. I think that sums up who we are, doesn't it? You glance back at the kid. He's listening in silence.
So, you don't like it?
Oh no, I do. But it's like cigarettes, a slow killer. No matter the quality of the beans or the tobacco, it's poison. A memory floats through your head. A heavy-set figure rolling a cigarette between his worn fingers.
We are complicated beasts.
Yes. We like to mistreat ourselves.
Like what happened in the Rue des Rosiers.
Suddenly, he is gone. You brake sharply, keeping an eye on the rearview mirror. You're now alone in the taxi. Alone and craving falafel. You know, we're trying to go to a customer. I don't know if this customer's still there now. There he is. That's what we're trying to go to. That was really weird. Because this guy is one of the suspects, if I recall. His name is Paul-Marie Fragonard. Your next passenger is your suspect, the retired policeman. Judging by his looks, you could have easily guessed. Hôpital Heights, St. Louis, please. You nod your head and start the engine. He yawns. Sorry, I didn't sleep a wink. Yeah, same here. Your passenger smiles, slightly embarrassed. Sorry, I didn't mean to. No problem. When I was your age, I could go an entire night without sleeping. I would sleep at my desk for a couple hours, and I was ready to go for the next day. But now I went one night without sleep, and I'm going to feel it for a week. He sighs, his eyes shifty. I don't know what got into me. It's like I'm waiting for someone to come home. Like I had a son or a daughter telling me, I swear, Dad, I'll be home by midnight. But at 3 a.m., they're still not home. He looks out of the window. Dawn has not yet broken over Paris. He clears his throat. I think it comes from the mother of a murder victim on one of my old cases. Yeah, an investigation from a few years ago. He pauses. Your taxi purrs like a cat after a good meal. I ran into her on the steps of the courthouse just before the trial, and she told me... Well, she told me... He closes his eyes, concentrates. The hardest part is hearing a noise in the hallway, and knowing it can't be her coming home. The hardest part is knowing she'll never come home again. He slowly sighs. They dispatched me to a parking lot where the body of a young woman was found. She'd been raped and her throat was slit. It was the work of a monster, a wild beast. He raises his hand like he wants to interrupt himself. I honestly think every man has it in him, you know? It's in our instincts, carved into our genes. She was 19 years old. You can hear the anger in his voice. 19. More anger. Just a kid. He gets back to his story. There was, blood on the pavement. A little river of blood. The young woman was propped up on a post, her t-shirt pulled over her face. The son of a bitch didn't even have the balls to look her in the eye. Anger continues to make his voice spark from time to time. He'd gone through her bag, looking for spare change. All that he found was some makeup and old check stubs. We found his fingerprints on the stubs. He used his thumb to fan through her expenses. At the time, I remember thinking what a shame it was to have bought all that stuff only to die right after. But I know it was just my mind's way of keeping busy. To avoid looking death in the face. When you're a cop as you get older, you learn to look everyone in the eye. It makes them more human. Whether they're alive or dead, victims or criminals. He stops. Did you, catch the killer? Yes, but much later. We started working with DNA. We were still on the shaky ground. We made mistakes. 5 victims in all. That was when I had to learn to look people in the eye. The victims. I couldn't let them turn into numbers. Evidence. It seemed crucial to inform the victims' parents of our successes and our mistakes. And it was crucial to reduce the monster that addicted to what he was, an abused kid, forgotten and destroyed by the system. He got a life sentence. Good for him, but the system failed us. Failed the victims. When it comes to crime, there's no winner. You see his hand shaking. He sees you looking. These old stories still get to me years later. There's a long pause. Your passenger seems out of breath. He sits up, square his shoulders, and changes positions. You're coming up to the hospital. The system. We don't control it. It controls us. No more, no less. It decides whether we're born here or there. His fingers reaches towards the skyline. It makes us grow up and teaches us that women are fragile objects and men are just violent animals. And up to the moment the system kills us, we try to break its rules. He parked the taxi. Your passenger doesn't budge. Do you cry sometimes? Silence. He looks you in the eye. Yes. He looks off into the distance. Good. Good. I didn't learn how until it was too late. But it's natural. We're designed to evolve, to change, but only when Mother Nature makes us. He smiles briefly. Without saying another word, the old cop pays and gets out of the car. You watch him until he disappears into the hospital. You notice a newspaper on the back seat. Your last passenger must have left it behind. Or the other one before. You grab it and put it away. Could come in handy. Okay, there's some more cash flow for us. It looks like we have to go home. We're gonna pass out, it looks like. Okay, how'd we do for our stuff? Did we make profits? We did actually profit, which is good. I think. Losses... Okay, so overall, we actually lost more. That's not good. We need more cash flow going. We gotta stop picking up random people and ghosts. You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. Your neighbor flushes the toilet. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see the pipe shake. You sigh and get to work. Okay, here, we got a lot of things to look at now. So, for one, this is just for him. So we'll put it underneath him. This is for all three of them. Actually, it's for everybody. This is literally only for you. This is nobody. Nobody. This is for both of you guys. So we'll throw this down here. This is for everyone as well. We have two for everybody. This is only for you. This is only for the two of you. So we'll put this like right here. Do we have anything else? Okay. We have another thing down here. Is it this one? It's this one. Okay. And this is nobody as well. Things are looking up for our customers. So far, Claudia is definitely out of the board. Can I just throw her thing out? Strange. I like that it does highlight all these together if you go to the little pictures. Okay. I guess we end it, unless we can use the phone. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You slide onto the open sofa bed. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. You open one eye. Someone flushes the toilet and you hear the pipe shake. One of them runs under your bed. You find the sound calming. You get up quickly. And a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio for night 5. So we probably should get fuel pretty quickly here. We need more cash flow. Oh, there's Hervé. And Hervé is actually like one of those dudes we actually should be talking to more. He's such a weirdo. Okay. Hervé, you're up. We make literally no money off of Hervé. He's just a suspect. The door opens. It's Hervé. He greets you with his bizarre verbal tick as usual. How's it going? Hi, Hervé. You start the engine. The passenger in the back seat is whistling a funny tune. He's in a pretty good mood. You, look good. Yeah, thanks. Some days are like that. Everything goes on your way. Hey. Belly is full, your buddies are around to help you, and you're not cold. He gives you a smile. And then, you know, you get good news. Oh, really? Really? Something you're glad to hear. Well, out with it then. Well, it's my ex-wife. She just got married again, and a real love story and all that. Just the way we like them. Oh, you're not jealous. Jealous? He shrugs. I don't believe in being jealous. Being jealous is for jerks, alright? She's happy and I am too, so why beat yourself up over being jealous? In the rearview mirror, your passenger's face clouds over, as if what he was saying had just sunk in. Suddenly, between clenched teeth, he hisses. Or you look up. Really? Huh? I thought you said something. No. He gives you a toothy grin. Suddenly, Hervé opens the cab door. You can pull up over here. I don't want you to get into any trouble. The guys in the squat can be a little on edge. You park the car, and Hervé opens the door. Good night, and thanks again, Ken. He gives you a smile. A moment later, Hervé vanishes inside a graffiti-covered building. Its imposing Art Deco facade memorizes you for a moment. And then you start the cab. Thank you for making me no money, Hervé. You waste my time. Waste everybody's time. Let's go to this old individual and pick them up. Could have picked her up, I suppose. She's closer. The airport is huge, ugly, cold, and lifeless, and yet you get a kick out of driving around mazes knotted on and off the something. Some good money off of him. The passenger getting into your cab smells like a grandpa. Stale smoke, a bit of sweat, an ounce of aftershave, the kind that makes your eyes sting. He gets settled, gives you his address, and off you go. You know how older folk function. They want to talk. Small talk, the weather, the election. But this guy, something keeps him from saying anything. It's like he has a secret and doesn't dare open his mouth for fear he'll spill his guts. You, been keeping up with the killer case? He raises his head. He gives you a weak smile. The judge, right? Terrible story. I was a concierge for over 45 years, you know. I've heard stuff about this story. He looks lost in thought. He starts to pontificate. He tells you some rumors he heard from former colleagues, but there's nothing you don't know already. After speaking for quite a while, he ends with a long sigh. It makes me sad, you know. The world has become such a violent and terrible place. He nods, sadly. I mean, I can't complain. I'm retired. I live a quiet little life. I have my little rituals now. I go to the library to read the paper. I say hi to my colleagues and my former colleagues, that is. And I finish each day with a little glass of wine in the bistro next to my old building. And when I've had too much to drink, I treat myself to a taxi ride. It's a nice life. A big grin. Exactly. A nice life. And he sits up straight in the back seat, like he just woke up. And also I played the lottery, of course. The nice old man is giving off a warm, pleasant aura. Same numbers every week. For the last 30 years. You watch your passenger's face in the rearview mirror. Good-humored. Kind. You take a liking to him. Hey, imagine you win 100 million euros. What would you do with it? If I won 100 million, you think it over for a second. For starters, you could pay back your debts and your mortgage. And then there's Aid and the kids. Shaki, maybe, though she'd probably refuse. So would Aid. The old man in the backseat clears his throat politely, a sign he's waiting for your answer. I'd share it with my loved ones.
Your loved ones. A nice idea. But with 100 million, you'd still have enough left to do with whatever you wanted. Go crazy. Indulge yourself.
But why do that all alone?
What's the point in spending so much money?
You smile. What about you? You all but turn around to look at your passenger. What would you do with 100 million euros? For 30 seconds, he says nothing. His eyes dash back and forth between the road, your face, in the rearview mirror, and his hands. You're not far from your destination.
I already won the lottery.
How much?
434 million euros.
And what did you do with it?
I gave it all away.
All of it.
All of it. They wired me the money and I gave it all away. To charities here and in Portugal, where I'm from. I gifted some to my son, about 50,000 euros, no more. Ah, here's my building.
You pull over as soon as you can. Why just 50,000?
You see, my son is a nice boy. He went to a good school and works hard, but he decided to work in finance. He doesn't need any more money.
He pays his fare. You're unable to say anything.
I know, so I worked for decades for the upper class in the 16th arrondissement. They're all, stockholders. Yes, that's it. They have stock portfolios and they don't need to work. I didn't want to spend my money to be like them, nor to make them richer. Never, ever. All those limousine liberals, those old reactionaries.
A look of disgust crosses his face.
I saw things. Children were thrown out of their homes. Old people left to rot. Those people have almost everything, but it's the almost that drives them mad. It consumes them. No. I gave it all to hospitals, schools, charities.
He sighs, like he just finished a good meal.
The moral of the story, young man, meet your needs, no more, no less.
You're incredible.
Realistic. I'm realistic. And old. And falling apart. But realistic.
He pats you on the shoulder.
And of course, this will be our little secret, right?
His question hangs in the air as he gets out of the cab. You watch him. He walks into a crumbling building in a bad neighborhood in East Paris. It makes you want to laugh and scream. Instead, you turn the key in the ignition. You give us quite the tip, however. Thank you, sir. And I think with that, this is a perfect opportunity for us to end today's episode. of Night's Call. Hope you guys all enjoyed. If you guys have, make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what you think of today's episode, of course. And if you're new to my channel or have been watching me for a little while and you haven't done so as of yet, feel free to subscribe to me, MadSquash924, over on YouTube. And don't forget to ring the bell to get notified of my latest videos. On the next episode, it looks like we gotta do some more customers and possibly pick up some fuel. One thing I've noticed when every time I start an episode, though, all the customers always change. So I imagine this person won't be there, which was, I believe her name was Nancy, right? Because we met her before. At least I thought we have. Oh, I was thinking of her, Claudia Campos. No, I guess we haven't met her. Never mind. Regardless, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.